everyone. So we're Reverend J and the dad jokes. And so for every song, we're going to tell a dad joke. Do you want to go first?
Oh, yes. I was talking to a friend of mine who is an undertaker, and he was telling me about these new glass coffins that they got in, and I asked him, "Oh, how are the sales of those going?" And he said, "Remains to be seen."
All right. That would have been better if I had just nailed it, but. Was it another lifetime, one of toil and blood? When chaos was a virtue, the road was full of mud. I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I was burned out from exhaustion, buried in the hail, poisoned in the bushes and blown out on the trail. Hunted like a crocodile, ravaged in the corn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Suddenly I turned around and she was standing there, with silver bracelets on her wrists and flowers in her hair. She walked up to me so gracefully and took my crown of thorns. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Now there's a wall between us, something has been lost. I took too much for granted, I got my signals crossed. Just to think that it all began on an uneventful morn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I've heard newborn babies wailing like a mourning dove, and old men with broken teeth stranded without love. Do I understand your question, man? Is it hopeless and forlorn? Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. In a little hilltop village, they gambled for my clothes. I bargained for salvation, she gave me a lethal dose. If only I could turn back the clock to when God and her were born. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Good morning. Little Bob Dylan to get the morning off to a start. Hi, I am Reverend J, and today I am the musical guest along with the dad jokes here. And we're also having a little bit of a different service. It's sort of an Ask Me Anything. So we had, for a few weeks, we've had a box out and an ability to ask me questions over email, and I have them all in here. And later on, I am going to draw them and answer them randomly. And it's going to be fun. But first of all, we have some announcements, my friends. First up, we had a board retreat a couple of weeks ago, and we developed a brand new draft of a brand new covenant. Now, it still keeps the spirit of the old covenant, but it's about 3 paragraphs shorter, and it doesn't have the word propounded in it, which I think maybe in 1915 was in more common use, but now it makes it feel a little stuffy and stiff. So I believe, Renshwan, is this right? Does the board have, okay, the board has a table out there with the new draft of the covenant, and we would love it if you'd go check it out and let us know what you think. If you're a member or a friend, it doesn't matter. Just come in and talk to us and let us know what you think. We want your feedback. Yay. We're going to be voting on adopting it or a different version of it at our congregational meeting in the spring. So this is your chance, okay? Don't show up to the congregational meeting and be like, but I didn't know about this, because yes, you did, because I'm telling you. And you can go and look at it now and give us your feedback. All right, so as many of you maybe remember, we are going to have an art and music festival here on May 31st. Now, I know there was an art and music festival here many years ago. We are bringing this back, and we are really trying to bring in the entire community, the entire neighborhood. And we have put out a call, so it's called Harmony Fest. Harmony Fest, music and art and crafts, right? Lori's gonna play. Right? Sorry, I'm just calling you out. Yeah, Lori's gonna play. The Trash Pandas are gonna play, so you know you need to go. And we have a call now for artists out. Oh, and it's also really exciting, we got a grant from the city. We got an ACE grant on arts and culture and entertainment grant. So that's gonna help us, really bring this out to the city. Now, if you are an artist or a maker of fine crafts, such as a quilt or anything like that, a knitter, we want to see your work. And you can apply. We have extended the deadline until April 14th. You can apply with a link in the torch, I believe. So just scan that, and there is a link there. There should be to apply. You just need to upload some pictures. They can just be cell phone pictures. It's totally fine. We just want to see your work and see how it fits in with what we're doing. So if you know anybody, or if you want to be a vendor, please apply. And 30% of the proceeds will go to the church, and you get to keep the other 70%. Yay. All right. We are trying out a gentle yoga class. If any of you went to our yoga classes last fall with Johnny Boyd, she's coming back, and this one is going to be specifically gentle yoga, more geared toward seniors or anybody who just has maybe a disability or just a little bit more of a gentle approach needed. That's noon on Wednesdays for the next, I believe, 4 Wednesdays. It's a sliding scale, a $4 suggested donation for members, $5 to $10 for non-members. So if you know anyone who needs to work it out, she incorporates chairs, she really works with wherever you are, come to that. April 5th, spring cleanup. Talk to Lee. That's Lee. We, it's spring. We want to get things nice for Harmony Fest, and just so that we can have picnics like every week outside. So please show up. It's fun. We get it done. Many hands make for light work. So please talk to Lee if you'd like to show up on April 5th and help us clean up for spring. Finally, on April 6th, we're having our child dedication. So if you are a member or a friend and would like to have your child honored as part of our community, email Amanda. And her email is something like re@slcuu.org, something like that. It's easy, right? Does anybody know her email? It's fine. Look it up. It'll be great. Okay. You love it when I do the announcements, don't you? It's so fun. whatever Amanda's email address is, email her, or just find her, I guess. All right, those are all the announcements I'm going to do today. Wow, you guys are so nice. All right, chalice lighting. So for last year, for our Ask Me Anything question box service, I used for our chalice lighting a slogan off of a vintage T-shirt from this church that somebody gave me. And the quote is, "Unitarian Universalism, where all of your answers are questioned." Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, which is 107.
1007.
1007. Teal hymnal, friends.
Also, at the very end of this song, there's a section that says, sing this section several times. We're going to do that 3 times after we complete the rest of the hymn. But I've been asked to tell a dad joke.
Oh, wait, do you want to save it for the one where we all do it? Or I can pull out another one. We'll find another one.
Okay.
Go for it, do it now.
Oh, okay. Oh, so anyway, I was reading the other day that the AMA has done an extensive test on the leading cause of dry skin, and they discovered it's towels. Sorry. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my.
Please join me in meditation. Close your eyes if that's available to you. Find a comfortable seat. If you can have both feet on the floor, please have both feet on the floor. Let's take a few breaths together with movement. Inhale through your nose, draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale out your mouth, let your shoulders release down your back. Let's do that again. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale out the mouth, release. See if you can give a little bit more weight to what's holding you up. One more time together. Inhale. Exhale, I want to hear it. Release. In your mind's eye, picture someone that you love. No question at all, you love this person. Picture what they're wearing, their facial expression, and say silently to them in your heart, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And now picture someone that you like very much. You may even say you love them, but they weren't the first person you thought of. Picture what this person is wearing. Picture their facial expression. And then say silently to them in your heart, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And now picture someone who seems fine, seems perfectly fine. Maybe you don't know them that well. Maybe an acquaintance from church or school or work. Picture what this person is wearing. Picture their facial expression. And say silently to them in your heart, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy. May you live with ease. And now picture someone who makes you uncomfortable. Maybe somebody that you find problematic, or maybe somebody that you've had a falling out with. Picture what this person is wearing. Picture their facial expression. And say silently to them in your heart, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And now picture someone that you really do not like. On a bad day, you might say you hate them. Someone you absolutely would not spend time with if you could help it. Picture what this person is wearing. Picture their facial expression. And say silently to them in your heart, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. And now picture the whole world. All 7 to 8 billion people. Try to hold all of that suffering, all of that joy, all of that laughter, all of those tears in your heart. And say silently to the whole world, may you be safe, May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. And now open your eyes and look at your fellow congregants, members, friends. Eye contact is encouraged. Look at each other. And we're going to say out loud to each other, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease.
That's where music comes from. Some of it is transcendental, and some of it is really dumb. And I love it when you sing to me. You could sing me anything. The book of love is long and boring, and it was written long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes and stuff we're all too young to know. And I love it when you give me things, and I would give you anything. I would give you anything. I would give you anything.
So do you know what the strongest days of the week are? It turns out it's Saturday and Sunday, because all the others are weekdays. I'd like to welcome up Sandi Greene, who's going to talk about why she gives. Woo!
Good morning, everyone. So one of my greatest teachers has been Dr. Wayne Dyer. For those of you who may not know, he was a renowned motivational speaker and author of many best-selling books, inspiring countless people around the world. Today, I want to share 2 key lessons that I learned from him. First, he taught me the importance of starting with a little humor when addressing a crowd. Thank you. So here's a lighthearted joke for you. Did you hear about the Unitarian minister who asked the children why it's important to be quiet in church? One little boy jumped up and exclaimed, "Yes, it's because people are sleeping." Now, on to the second lesson, the importance of giving. Dr. Dyer emphasized the universal law that what we give back comes back to us, multiplied. Too often we approach the universe with a gimme, gimme mindset. Instead, he encouraged us to ask, how may I help? How may I serve? How may I be the highest version of myself today? He taught me to give from an open heart without expecting recognition. And most importantly, he reminded us that the universe has a perfect accounting system. Reflecting on my own journey, I used to give generously to the Lutheran Church until 2008, when I felt they weren't treating my gay friends with respect. So I took my time, my money, and my heart, and I sought out a more inclusive community. My first stop was the Episcopal Church, but I didn't feel welcome there. It felt cold and uninviting. Then I found this beautiful First Unitarian Church on a crisp fall day in 2008. As I sat in the pew, the sun shining down, I heard the music of David Owens playing Chopin, and Reverend Tom Goldsmith's sermon was so poignant, it deeply resonated with me. I felt as though he was speaking directly to my heart. When the congregation stood to sing Morning Has Broken, I thought to myself, any church that sings Cat Stevens songs must be my kind of place. I felt warmth and a sense of belonging. I give to this church because I want to give back to an organization that has given so much to me. Without our contributions, we wouldn't have the fantastic music program that drew me here, nor the quality of ministers, not one but 2, who inspire us every week. We wouldn't have the adult education programs, children's RE, or all the wonderful opportunities to serve our community with all the ministries available. I believe our purpose here is to share our unique gifts and talents in service to humanity. The collective energy from this place helps make the world kinder and more loving. Since Reverend J joined us, our membership has been increasing and people are coming in droves. As someone who teaches the new member class, I've witnessed the excitement firsthand. However, to accommodate this growth, we need the financial resources to support our expanding congregation, and that's why giving is so crucial. I want to ensure our programs continue, our staff is compensated fairly, and we can continue to make a positive impact in our community. And lastly, I give because I believe in this place, in the love we share, and in the mission we uphold. Together, we can continue to create a transformative space for all who enter. Thank you, and so it is. Aho.
Thank you. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here, and those far away, for this time we share, with love and care. We give thanks for this precious day. The offering for the work of the church will now be gratefully received, and please take this time to greet one another as well. David very kindly recorded that for us, because when we would try to do it on guitar, any way that's slightly different from the chords and the piano, everybody was really confused and anxious, it felt like, and like they didn't know when to come in, and they didn't know when to stand and everything. So we're just trying that out, and it's amazing. It's like Pavlovian. Everyone's just like, oh, okay, great. So we're gonna try that for a while and see if that works when he's off, when he has his days off. All right. I got your questions right here. Now, if you didn't know that this was happening, or wanted to ask a question and forgot, and you just have like a burning question, you can just go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll call on you as well. Or if you're on Zoom and you want to type a question into the chat that is appropriate. I know you Zoom people. Tristan can read it out to me, but let's start with this one. Great. Oh boy. What would you say to a couple who can't decide whether to have children? What does the Unitarian tradition say? I feel this is an area I could use spiritual guidance. Starting it off light. So, first of all, if you are here or watching, the person who asked this, I would be happy to talk to you, like one-on-one in my office or get coffee or something, and we can talk more about your situation, your specific thoughts, and feelings. As far as what the Unitarian tradition says, nothing. Like, we don't have, there's not really a lot of like doctrines or dogmas. That's kind of our whole thing, right? We're very much believe in individual choice. So if I said anything, if there's any sort of Unitarian tradition around this, I would say it depends. It depends on your circumstances. It depends on your beliefs. It depends on your feelings. It depends on the reasons that you're considering pro and con, right? Now, I actually do have a lot of thoughts about this, sort of just in general. In full disclosure, I do have a son. I have a child. He's 3.5, so he's a young child. And I was kind of late. For Boston, I was not an old mom, but for here, I'm like geriatric, basically. Like in Boston, they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like you're like a teen mom. You're what, only 37? What?" Like, but here it's like, "Oh, is that your grandson?" No, nobody asked me that, but still, like, they could. It is really challenging, I think, for millennials and Gen Z right now financially. I'm not gonna argue with that. One of the reasons that it took me so long to have a kid is because it took me a long time to sort of get my stuff together, and that was not, entirely my own shortcomings fault, although it was part of it. But a lot of younger folks are, I know, struggling financially. They're not sure if they're ever going to be able to have the type of stability that many of them grew up with, and I totally acknowledge that. And I also will say that I know that, a lot of younger people in the United States are very worried about, the state of the world. I hear a lot of people worry about climate change. A lot of people worry about just the politics, the direction, whatever, that democracy or whatever it is seems to be going in. And so I hear that too as a reason that a lot of people choose not to have children. And I also hear, that they just don't want them too. And I will say, of those three sort of reasons, so there's financial concerns, state of the world, and not wanting them. The The one I would give the most weight to is not wanting them. Like, if you don't want them, that's fine. Like, don't have them because you feel pressured or whatever. Now, what makes me sad is I know a lot of people my age and younger who either did or do want children, but feel like they either can't or shouldn't because one of the first two reasons. So either they're worried about their financial future or stability, or they're worried about climate change or you know, the government or the, you know, what things that could happen, the unknown. And I give the second most amount of weight to the financial thing because that's very real. It's much, much easier to have children in this country if you are well off than if you are struggling. I mean, in a sense, that's true everywhere. But it used to be much less, the contrast used to be much less stark in this country. There used to be a lot of programs and help and more of a village, and just things were set up more for families to have children, even back in the middle of the last 20th century. I mean, even down to the fact that, you know, even if one parent wants to stay home now, often they can't, right? Because one salary usually won't support a family these days, whereas in the middle of the 20th century it would have. Now, you know, we're not advocating for, you know, the woman has to stay home and the man has to work or whatever, you know, the gender roles that came along with that. But, you know, things are very difficult now for a lot of people. I will say I feel there is so much discontent in general in the country, that I think things are going to change. I really do. Because I hear so many people, so many parents, so many people who want to become parents say that they know this is not the way things are supposed to be. And say that they know that, you know, this is not the way they want things to be, and say that they know there's a better way. So I do believe things are going to change. I don't know how fast that will happen. But I would encourage you, if you want to have children and the fear of finances or a financial situation is challenging, to really kind of look at that and see if there's some sort of way that you could make it work. You know, and that might be moving closer to family or moving closer to friends where you have support. It might be, you know, taking a bit of a financial hit. I mean, sometimes you do have to make sacrifices to have children. I know we don't like to talk about that, but you really do. And this is me speaking from my personal experience. So again, if this is you, talk to me. We'll talk about how you feel. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to have kids. And all the reasons that I kept telling myself for so long that I couldn't do it, it got to a point where I knew that I would regret it for the rest of my life if I let those reasons win. So I would try to look at that honestly. How much you want them, how you think you'll feel later in life if you choose not to, versus if you choose to and maybe struggle a little bit. And really see if you can financially make it work. Now, the thing about being worried about the state of the world, I used to really worry about that too when I was a lot younger, but that really does not hold that much water with me these days, because I don't think climate change is going to be species ending. I really don't. And I actually, you know, and if you really look at data, a lot of things are improving. We're really not on the track for the worst case scenarios, and you know, things are in the trajectory of improving. Now, are we going to stay under the whatever it is, 1.5 degrees Celsius? That would mean the best outcome? No. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I believe, and this is based on a lot of data and scientists saying this, I think that if you are in a rich country, which the United States is, believe it or not, you'll probably be okay. Now, life might not be as cushy as it was in the middle of the 20th century. Again, I think we have this warped view because things in the US were so good. And I know, yeah, not if you were black or gay or a woman, I get it. But financially and stability-wise, things were kind of unprecedentedly good and safe and stable and prosperous in the middle of the 20th century in the United States. And I feel like since then we've been comparing everything to that, and so everything looks scary and uncertain. But the fact of the matter is, guys, like, just a little more than 100 years ago, child mortality was 1 in 3. I kid you not. Like 1 in 3 children died before they, and I don't know what either before they were 5 or before they were like 15, something like that. 1 in 3. And a kid born now has, in the United States, has a very low chance of not reaching adulthood. A kid born now has the highest chance of living to old age that they have ever had in the history of the world. And I don't know why we think like we're in some sort of unprecedentedly dark period in history that's so terrible that we can't bring kids into it. I think it's a really warped sense of how it's always been to be human, and to have children. I mean, people had children through the plagues, they had children through wars, they had children through all sorts of disasters and difficult times. And so I'm curious about why we think we're so special, that we need to have this guarantee of something or other in order to have children. I mean, I thought when we were working to have my son, I thought, what I kept thinking is having a child is an act of hope. It's like the greatest act of hope that you can do. And I still feel that way. So again, if this was you, I'd be really happy to talk to you, because it's hard to respond to something like that, when I'm not actually talking to you, because I don't know what your situation is. So please feel free to reach out to me and we can schedule a time. But those are my general thoughts. And that took up like most of our time, but whatever. Cool. Okay, somebody said, Doug Roberts, if you put your name, I'll say your name. Doug Roberts said, what happened to free and responsible search for truth and meaning? That was my favorite principle. So this person's asking about how the UUA last year at GA, everybody voted to transition from what used to be called the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, which were established in the 1970s, to now what they call the values. Now, they are basically the same. They're just kind of worded in a different way and a little bit less like, I don't know, the ones from the 70s do feel a little bit like 70s, right? And stuffy and like world peace, right? So they're kind of trying to update it a little bit. Apparently, when they first created the principles, they were supposed to look at them every 5 years and update them. But like, if you're new to UU, possibly the most UU thing is to like enact a policy or develop a policy that then nobody follows through on. So like, I think that's what happened. And they were like, oh, this has been here for 50 years. Maybe we should look at them. So the language of the true and responsible search for meaning, or the free and responsible search for truth or meaning, was not ported over to the values. And I see why one might miss that. I like that language too. I do think that the spirit is still there. There's if you haven't seen it yet, there's like 7 words, and I'm not a huge fan of out of context. Yeah, there we go. There they are. They're there. Yeah, you got them right there. So they're there. And then there's like descriptions of them, and we have sort of a truncated descriptions there, abridged descriptions, but they have more language if you actually look up the website or whatever. So I don't know. I would say look at the full thing with all of the language and see what you think about that. But that's where it went. That's what happened. It was a big, all congregation vote for all the Unitarian Universalist congregations last year at General Assembly. And they were like, yep, we like the new ones, let's do it. All right. Oh, right. I'm like, anyone have any questions? Tristan.
All right. We've got a question here from Michelle on Zoom. She asks, are you going to release any more episodes of your Queer Bible podcast? And is that still on your personal website?
It should still be on my personal website. So if you don't know, one of my pandemic projects was I and Sue, my wife, and my good friend David Waters, who is an Episcopal minister and also queer, we did a Queer Bible podcast. I believe you can still find it on all the places you get podcasts. It's called It's in the Book, a Queer Bible podcast. I would love to. Here's the thing. It takes a lot of time, like a lot of time, and I do not have a lot of time right now. This job is maybe shockingly demanding, and I have a 3.5-year-old, and I do also try to have a creative life. I write, the space I have for a creative life is very narrow, like a personal creative life, right? And I'm still working on my musical, Beloved King, which I know some of you saw the reading of at Slack, where that is being developed in New York, and I have to work on that. And then theoretically, I'm writing another musical too, but that is very, very slow going. I've just got to make some choices right now about where I focus, and with my limited time and energy to be creative, I really feel like I need to focus on the theater, the musicals. But ideally one day I will go back with, my friend David and Sue, and, they all say they're up for it. So, I would need more time, to do it. Thanks for asking. All right, we already did that one. We already did that one. Paul Carpenter asks, how have you adjusted to life in Utah, and do you like it here? Could you see yourself living here for several years? That's kind of a veiled question, isn't it? How long do you think you're going to be living there? We have adjusted, I think. It's the hardest part. Speaking of like the village, right, and it being hard to be a parent of young children in this country, really the hardest part is we didn't know anybody here when we moved here, and we didn't have any family here. When we lived in Boston, and I had lived there for like 13, 14 years. I had a really strong community of friends there, and then even when we were in Texas, we actually had a family member who was living in Houston, which was just, it makes a huge difference to have somebody, in the area. So that's been the most challenging thing, is just, not having that, and also trying to make connections and friends. It's a weird place. It's a weird place. It's totally weird. Like, it's unique. Let's say it's unique. It's a unique place. Well, it is. Like, I felt more culture shock here than I did moving to Texas. Like, in Houston, the animals were weirder. Like, it was like lizards and alligators and stuff like that. And like the plants were weird and the climate was weird, but like culture-wise, it didn't feel that different from like Indiana where I grew up. But here I'm just like, what is happening? What? I don't know how to talk. That person said, oh my heck, what does that mean? Why are there billboards for plastic surgery? I've never seen that before in my life. I really hadn't. It's just a different world. But I will say that I find people to be very nice here. I do. I really do. And before you come and be like, well, they're just nice to your face, like they really think blah, 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 you're going to the outer darkness or whatever, I don't care. I really don't. I have reached a stage in my life where as long as you're nice to my face, we're good. Like, I much, much prefer microaggressions to macroaggressions at this stage in my life. Like, I don't know if it's just middle age or what. And could you see yourself living here for several years? I mean, that's the plan. That is the plan. So, yeah, you're not going to get rid of me that fast. Like, we did buy a house, so like, you know, that kind of locks you in. Okay. All right. Handwritten. Oh, this person asked 4 questions. Is that fair? Okay. Let's see what we want to do. Oh, this is great. What is UU? Why does it not follow traditional worship of a deity? Wow. All right. So UU stands for Unitarian Universalism. They were 2 Christian sects. So I know, like, I actually hate how it sounds together, right? Because it sounds like a universal life church or something, like some ordination you get online. I think it sounds a little wacky. But the reason it's like that is there were 2 denominations, the Unitarians and the Universalists. Unitarians kind of have a long lineage, but the American Unitarianism really kind of started around the American Revolution, even before that. But it's very rational, like that sort of era of like Enlightenment sort of thing. And then the Transcendentalists were Unitarians, most of them kind of rebel Unitarians. And then the Universalists came about during the Second Great Awakening. If you know anything about that, they were kind of more evangelical, for lack of a better term. But some of them came from like Baptists, but the term and Unitarians came from Puritans, which explains the white walls and why we can't clap on beat. But so the Universalists, on the other hand, their kind of whole the reason they're called Universalists is because they came up with the idea of universal salvation. There were lots of different ways that they came to this, but kind of their big heresy was we don't believe that a just God would send his children to hell for eternity. Crazy. Which was really like groundbreaking at the time. But yeah, that's where they came from. And then in the middle of the 20th century, around in the 60s, the 2 denominations merged. And that's why we're Unitarian Universalists. Why does it not follow a traditional worship of a deity? Okay, so we kind of, around that same time, and then like really in the 70s, there was a huge like humanist strain in Unitarian Universalism, mostly the Unitarian strain. A lot of people, following the rational mode of thought was like, well, we don't want to have to believe in something supernatural. We think we should be able to just follow moral principles without necessarily having to believe that. So it kind of got very humanist in like the mid-latter part of the 20th century. And it's also part of wanting to be more pluralistic, right? So by not requiring that one believe in any specific deity, we want to make room for people who are Muslim and Hindu and Buddhist or pagan or whatever, whoever, any other tradition. You don't need to come here and believe in like Latin Jehovah or whatever, that's like the only God. Now, does it always work great? No, but it's a project, it's a process. Nobody's ever really tried to do this before, right? So we're figuring it out. I will say that over the past maybe 20 years, it's kind of swinging back more into explicitly spiritual language, like talk of deity, even if it's not like Latin Jehovah or whatever, is a lot more accepted than maybe it was 50 years ago in Unitarian Universalism. But that is my short answer. Did that make sense? Yes. Fantastic. Man, what does being a member look like? Okay. I guess, I'm not sure if this means how do you become a member or what does it being a member look like. So to become a member, we ask for you to take the new member class. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but like if you're really new, if you haven't taken it, it's nice just to kind of get your grounding in the denomination and in life here. We ask you to pledge, a monetary pledge towards our pledge drive. If you are unable to do that, we can always waive it. But, for most people, even if it's like, $10, $50, $100, whatever you can do, we ask for that. And then you sign the book, and that's it. then you're a member. And what that means is you get to vote in our congregational meetings. So we have congregational polity, which means each church is sort of its own little government, its own little governance. And so every year we do a congregational meeting where we vote on certain things. And so when you are a member, you do get to vote and you have that sort of, that voice, that say. And you can also, there's certain things that you can't do. Most things you can do if you're just a friend, but like you can't join the finance committee and you can't be on the board, right? If you're not a member. So, you just get a little bit more voice, agency, control, it would be one way to say it, in what we do. And it's nice because you're literally helping to make the church, right? It's not just me up here. Why? This person asks a lot of questions, but these are actually really, not everybody might know these things, so I'm gonna just do them all. Why are there no kids in Sunday service? So that actually really surprised me because I grew up in a Catholic church where, the kids just sit there and they're bored and they make noise and they play with the program and they take naps on the pews when everybody kneels. And, that's what I thought church was. And so when I first started coming to UU churches, I was like, where are the kids? Most of the reason for that is because our religious education classes meet at the same time as church. Why? I don't actually know why, but most UU churches do it that way. We do once a month have what we call a ritual Sunday, which is intergenerational. So there's no religious education on that day. And we, invite, you can bring kids anytime. There's never a time when you can't bring your kids. But that day, there is no religious education that day. We're all doing it in here together, worship together. But not all churches do it like that. But we do. And then where does the money from the collection plate go to? So usually it goes to our operating fund. Again, we are completely supported by members and friends. We don't have a first presidency or a Vatican, I guess, with a massive endowment or whatever it is to bankroll us, I guess. So we literally make all of our own money ourselves. So that goes to our operating fund. Once a month, we do a Share the Plate, where we partner with a local nonprofit that is doing work that's in alignment with our values. And for a Share the Plate, half of the money goes to our operating fund and half goes to that charity. But we always tell you when that is happening. All right, that was useful. Yoink. Oh my God. I'm going to call people out when they put their names on it. Carrie Gold says, "What do you do all week?" Carrie. I get massages until I show up on Sunday morning. See, this is when I tell people I'm a minister. sometimes I get these questions. I think also if you maybe come from an LDS background where there's not professional clergy, at least not until you get to those very like upper levels, it might be confusing. So as I mentioned, this is sort of like a nonprofit, right? It is a nonprofit. This is a 501c3 nonprofit. We run it completely ourselves. So I am the CEO of this nonprofit. What I do, okay. See, when people ask me these questions, I start telling them, and then they get really bored really fast and like glaze over. So, all right. So Monday morning, I meet with Reverend Monica. We discuss what's going on, anything we need to partner on. I'll do emails on Monday a lot. I try to have a little slower day, at least early in the morning, because Sunday is so exhausting. So I start to get caught up on emails. I try to only answer emails about 3 days a week, maybe 4, because otherwise it would just be too overwhelming. So we do a lot of emailing. I do a lot of meetings on Mondays, because Monday is one of the days I tend to come into the office. Sometimes I'll be meeting with congregants, sometimes I'll be meeting with community partners, sometimes I'll be just planning things with the staff or whatever. And then oftentimes there'll be a meeting in the evening, maybe a board meeting, or some other meeting that I'll need to be at. Mondays and Tuesdays, I usually don't get home until 9 p.m. So Tuesday is my really wonderful day, where I do supervision meetings with the staff. Then we have a staff meeting. It usually lasts about 2 hours. Sometimes I'll meet with the board president. Sometimes I'll meet with other people. I'll do meetings in the afternoon, more emails. Usually there's something in the evening that I need to be at there. If it's lay ministers or teams night or something or other, there's often an evening thing on Tuesday. Wednesday, I really try to work from home, but I often, sometimes I have to come up, like if I'm doing like a Queer Joy event or some sort of event up here. But again, more emails, meetings usually on Zoom, if I can do that, or sometimes I'll meet with Stephanie. We both live near each other down in the Sandi area, so the administrator and I will sometimes work just over there. We're at that point, we plan service for the coming week on Tuesday, so at that point we're also trying to make those pieces come together. In theory, I start writing my sermon on Wednesday, but I never get to it. But if in a perfect world, I would start making notes on Wednesday. Thursday is supposed to be my writing day, where nobody's supposed to bother me, but that doesn't happen. But you're not supposed to bother me on Thursday. But that doesn't happen. And it's not just you, it's everybody. But I try not to do any emailing on Thursday. I try just to get most of my sermon down, at least the most of it. I have this certain type of neurodivergence where I absolutely need the last minute pressure to finish anything. So I do 90% of it on Thursday, and then I just let it kind of sit in the subconscious. And then Friday is off, my day off, almost always. Saturday is supposed to be a day off, but oftentimes there'll be a church thing that I have to be at. But I really try to have it be off. And then Sunday, I usually get up at 5 in the morning, and I finish my sermon, and I make sure I can say all the words. I practice it in my mouth a couple of times. Come here, get here I'm supposed to get here at 8:30, but I'm 5 minutes late always to everything. And that's just a character flaw that I'm not sure I'm gonna address in this lifetime. But we go through the service, make sure everybody knows what they're doing. We do the 9 a.m., we do the 11 a.m. Sometimes there's other meetings that day, but I really try not to. And then I go and become catatonic until Monday. So that's like a normal week. Is that helpful? Oh, and sometimes I have to write the budget. That was fun. Oh, any questions here or on Zoom? Ooh. Christine Ashworth, are you here? No, she was here in the morning. She said, what do you feel is First Unitarian's biggest untapped potential? Wow. This might end up being a little abstract, but this is what I'm kind of currently thinking about. You know, I mean, in a way, this is just sort of what I've been preaching about, I think, for a year, but I think, like, we have a group of people, a pretty significant group of people here. And I think that if we were able to organize, you know, efficiently or effectively or whatever, I think we could really make, like, a tangible difference in Salt Lake City, like in the lives of underprivileged people. Now, I know we already do in a lot of ways, right? Like we have the street Tai Chi, we have immigration justice, we have all of these programs. And they do great work. I just think we could really do even more. I think that we could really show up in numbers, right, for a lot of these causes that align with our values. And I just feel like we're on the way there. We just haven't figured out the sort of, I don't know, organization or the pipeline or the communication that needs to happen to really, I don't know, does that make sense? To really put our money where our mouth is, I guess. Yeah, and I think part of that too is like feeling kind of overwhelmed maybe, and feeling like, oh, I'm just one person and blah, blah, blah. But we're not just one person, we're like 600 people, you know? So I don't know, I think that I really wanna see us doing more in the community, you know, but again, I'm not sure, we're getting there, we'll get there, yeah. All right. I'm afraid of this one. Okay, this is long. Michelle Palmer says, what book would you recommend to any First Church member to deepen their spiritual understanding? Or is there a book that changed your spiritual or religious understanding? I guess the one that comes, it's not really a spiritual book, but it's called The Master and His Emissary by Ian McGilchrist. I reference it a lot in my sermons. It's actually about brain science, but it's about the ways of the world, the ways that the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain interpret the world. And the argument is sort of that Western culture has been too left hemisphere dominant for quite some time, and that it's not good. So that I love that book. It's like an 800-page nonfiction book, but if you're into that, go for it. There's also an audiobook version. Truly, I love it. Okay, I think we should wrap up, but let's end on oh damn. All right, fine, we got to do this one, but we really got to wrap up. Kirsta Fricke Gostnell. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Gottsnell, sorry. Did I do okay with the other parts? Pretty good? No? Okay, well, that's fine. Tell me later, I apologize. Ask, what is your experience of God? How would you describe your faith? Great. So, I say that what have I been saying? I've been saying, it's hard to put language to these things. I kind of ascribe to like a very medieval mystic, apophatic type of spirituality. Apophatic means like away from speaking, like you can't really talk about it because language is a human construct and it's all, it's a thing of the left brain, and it's automatically like trying to give form to something that is inherently, emergent and formless and integral and all this stuff. But if when I'm describing it, I say like I'm a panentheistic, mystical, agnostic. No, a panentheistic. No, an apophatic, mystical, agnostic panentheist. Okay? So apophatic means that I feel like you can't really name it. You can't really speak about it. Mystical means, what all mystical means is like related to the direct experience of divinity, whatever that means. And then agnostic, I don't mean agnostic in the way like, oh, I don't think about it or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Like, we don't know. And then panentheist, it means that I believe, it's not pantheist, it's not that I just think everything is divine. I think that everything is divine, but then also divinity transcends what we see. All right. Amen. Thank you, everyone. We'll do another one next year. Come on up, dad jokes. So, what do a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common? A tick and the Eiffel Tower. They're both parasites.
Star, when I first laid eyes upon you, I was filled with such a longing to be with you in the dark. Bright star, since I could not fly beside you, I'd chart my own course by you and sail it by your light. Bright star, I've sailed in all directions, I've followed your reflections to the farthest foreign shore. Bright star, I've anchored in the harbor, I've brought my gifts to barter for a drifter's bed and board. Bright star, I've drunk the wine of ages in the company of strangers. We have sung in tongues of angels and then stumbled on the pavement, and I understood my place then and my purpose and relation to the young and ancient night. Bright star, I am home now from my roaming. I'm alone out in the gloaming with the ships out in the yard. Bright star, there's a thought upon me dawning. You have launched 1,000 longings, and I don't know who you are. Bright star, you have never been my vessel, or the winds my sails have wrestled, or the lands to which I traveled, or the friends with whom I reveled. There are lengths to which you'll never know I went to be your lover and beloved in your sight. first laid eyes upon you, I was filled with such a longing to be with you in the dark, bright star. If I could have flown beside you, I would not have had the sight of you to guide me through the world so wide and bright.
May all beings be well. May all beings be content. May our actions be bonded to our deepest values. May we treat others as we would be treated. May we move through each day with compassion toward ourselves, our friends, and our enemies. May each breath bring us closer to those we love and to ourselves. May it be so. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning. It's great to see you. Thank you for allowing us to sing for you and play for you today. It's been a goal of mine to play for you guys more, to play in front of people more. So thank you for being so receptive to that. And I hope to see you out there in Elliott Hall. Go forth.